I wake up every night, in the middle of the night, every night. And in the darkness, I imagine her terror.
It has now been 54 days of silence, so heavy it has been felt across the nation. On February 1st, 2026, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of today's show's Savannah Guthrie, was taken from her home in the middle of the night. Since that morning, the world has looked at the empty chair next to Hoda Kotb and felt the weight of a daughter's private agony. But today, March 26th, that silence has finally been broken. In a raw, heart-wrenching sit-down that aired just hours ago, Savannah Guthrie spoke for the first time. This wasn't just a news segment. It was a desperate, calculated plea for mercy. But while Savannah was sharing her heart on camera, investigators in the Catalina foothills were uncovering chilling new forensic evidence that changed the entire trajectory of this case. Today, we are breaking down the interview, the newly discovered blood evidence, and the mysterious vacant property that may finally hold the key to Nancy's location. The atmosphere on the Today Show set this morning was unlike any other. Carson Daly, Hoda Kotb, and Al Roker gathered to introduce the footage, and the tension was visible. Hoda described the experience of sitting with Savannah as one of the most emotional moments of her career. For over 50 days, Savannah has been in what her colleagues described as a tortured limbo state. She has been working with the FBI, caring for her siblings, and trying to find the words to explain a grandmother's disappearance to her own children. But yesterday, she decided it was time to speak, not just to the viewers, but to the person holding her mother. Hoda Kotb, visibly moved, remarked that even in the midst of this tragedy, there is a desperation, but also a remarkable steeliness about Savannah. Despite the pain, there is a resilience and a grace that defined her message. One of the most haunting moments of the interview came when Savannah described her new reality. She told Hoda that she wakes up every single night in the middle of the night, without fail. In that absolute darkness, she finds herself imagining the unthinkable. She imagines her mother's terror in the moments she was confronted by a masked intruder. Savannah admitted that these thoughts demand to be thought. She refused to hide her face or her grief, stating clearly that her mother needs to come home now. Beyond the emotional toll, there is a growing frustration with the technical side of the investigation. The neighborhood of Catalina foothills is known for its high-end security and gated privacy. Yet a kidnapper was able to vanish into the night without leaving a digital trail. This has led forensic psychologists to believe that the suspect is not a desperate amateur, but someone with a high degree of situational awareness. They knew exactly where the blind spots and the security cameras were. They knew when the local patrols made their rounds. This level of planning is what makes Savannah's plea even more critical. It is an attempt to break the resolve of someone who thinks they have committed the perfect crime. The desperation in her voice was matched by a direct, cutting plea for humanity. "We are in agony," she repeated, her voice steady but filled with pain. "It is unbearable." This interview was a tactical call to action. Savannah and her family are hoping that someone, somewhere, perhaps a neighbor who saw a strange vehicle or someone close to the suspect who has noticed a change in behavior, will finally pick up the phone. As Hoda noted, the family's only hope right now is that someone watching or listening finally decides to do the right thing. However, as we look at the case on this 26th day of March, the emotional plea is now being met with hard, forensic reality. While the public is reacting to Savannah's words, the Pima County Sheriff's Department has released a chilling update regarding the initial crime scene that was previously kept under wraps. It has now been confirmed that blood evidence was discovered inside Nancy Guthrie's home, specifically concentrated near the front door and the entryway. Forensic labs have officially matched this DNA to Nancy Guthrie. This discovery is a massive turning point. For weeks, there was a small, flickering hope that Nancy might have been taken without a struggle. But the presence of blood near the door tells a different story. It suggests a violent encounter occurred the moment the intruder entered. Sheriff Chris Nanos has pointed to this evidence as proof that the suspect is not just a kidnapper, but someone armed and dangerous. At 84 years old, Nancy was described by Savannah as tiny but fierce, and the evidence suggests she likely fought back against her abductor. This forensic shift moves the case into a much darker territory, suggesting that Nancy may have been injured before she ever left the property. In addition to the forensic evidence, investigators are pivoting their focus toward a vacant property located just a few houses away from Nancy's residence. Reports today indicate that this property was vacated just 48 hours before the abduction on February 1st. The FBI is currently investigating the possibility that the kidnapper used this empty home as a staging ground, a place to watch Nancy's daily movements without raising suspicion. They are meticulously tracking every contractor, mover, and worker who had access to that vacant house in the weeks leading up to the crime. This house, which had been on the market for months, provided the perfect vantage point. It sits on a slight elevation, giving anyone inside a clear view of Nancy's front door and driveway. Neighbors have started to recall seeing a white or light-colored SUV parked near that vacant property in the late evenings of late January. While no one thought anything of it at the time, assuming it was just a realtor or a potential buyer, it is now being looked at as the eye of the storm. The FBI has seized the smart home logs from that vacant property to see if any unauthorized person was using the Wi-Fi or entering through a back door during that period. This ties back to the mysterious January 11th lead that has frustrated the public for weeks. Earlier in the investigation, authorities asked neighbors for any camera footage from January 11th. It was believed that a masked suspect, carrying a backpack and a weapon holster, was seen casing the neighborhood on that date. While Google Nest has since backtracked on the definitive identity of the person in that footage, the FBI remains convinced that the abduction was planned well in advance. They believe Nancy was being watched for weeks, and the kidnapper knew exactly when she would be alone and when the neighborhood would be at its quietest. The community reaction has been one of pure terror. Residents who once felt safe in their secluded desert homes are now installing advanced motion tracking lights and hiring private security. The idea that a predator could spend weeks living in a vacant house right next door is a scenario out of a horror movie. Savannah touched on this during her interview, mentioning that her mother loved the desert and loved her home because it was her sanctuary. To have that sanctuary violated by someone who sat and watched her every move is a detail that Savannah said makes the terror she imagines at night even more vivid. The investigation is also looking into Savannah's mention of her faith. She told Hoda that her faith is the only thing holding her hand through this darkness. To her colleagues on the Today Show set, like Al Roker, this strength is what has sustained her. But faith is now being paired with a massive financial incentive. The reward for Nancy Guthrie's safe return currently stands at $1 million. This is a no questions asked reward. The family has made it clear they don't care about the how or the why at this moment. They only care about the where. Sheriff Nanos has issued his own ultimatum to the captor today, echoing the urgency of Savannah's interview. He noted that the net is closing. With the new forensic blood evidence, the refined timeline from the neighboring properties, and the eyes of the entire world on the Catalina foothills, there is nowhere left to hide. He urged the captor to just give her up by dropping her off at a clinic, a church, or a hospital. The authorities are essentially offering a golden bridge for the captor, an opportunity to return her safely and walk away before the investigation turns into something even more severe. As we conclude this update on March 26th, the situation remains critical. Savannah Guthrie's brother and sister are also deeply involved in the search, and the entire Today Show family is in a state of mourning for their friend's agony. But as Hoda noted, no one is stealing Savannah's joy. She continues to show up, continues to fight, and continues to believe that the right person will see her face and decide to speak up. Nancy Guthrie is more than a headline. She is a mother whose absence has left a hole in the hearts of millions. The discovery of blood at her front door is a grim reminder of the stakes. But the $1 million reward and the global manhunt for the masked suspect show that the world is not giving up. What do you think about Savannah's plea? Do you think the blood evidence indicates a targeted attack, or was this a robbery that went horribly wrong? And what about that vacant property nearby? Could it be the missing piece of the puzzle? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. We must keep Nancy's face and her story in the news until she is found. If you have any information, big or small, please do not hesitate. It is not too late to do the right thing. Pick up the phone and call the FBI tip line or the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Every detail matters. Every second counts. We will continue to follow this story and bring you every update as it breaks. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay informed on the Nancy Guthrie case. We won't stop until Nancy is home.